Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Ajeng Irma Rahmawati. My student number is 55, and in this opportunity, I would like to explain the result of the thesis analysis. So first is about the title. The title from this thesis is about the impact of blended learning on the achievement of English language students and their attitude towards it. This thesis written by Zainab Fakir. And the next is about objective from this thesis. There are some objectives. For the first is detecting the effect of using blended learning on the achievement of 6th grade students in private primary schools of Yemen. And the next is examining their attitude towards using blended learning in teaching English. Then is about significance of this study. The significance of this study emerges from the fact that it is the first study according to the researcher's knowledge after reviewing literature and the related previous studies to be conducted in the field of English language teaching in Jordan. For this reason, the study may be important in this attempt. For the first, to organize effective learning environment in the light of implementing blended learning to improve students' achievement. Second, to help students use multimedia so as to improve their achievement. The third, to explore the effect of using blended learning on the achievement of 6th grade students in teaching English language. And the last, to show student attitude toward using blended learning in teaching English language. Next slide, I would like to explain about the review of literature. So, definition of blended learning is blended learning, hybrid learning, integrated learning, multi-method learning, or mixed method learning are all references to the same concept and strategy of learning, in which learning takes place by using two different styles of interaction. And also, Graham defines blended learning as the conjunction of direct learning setting where students and teachers meet in the same place, basically classroom, to learn with the setting that are based on communication technology as they can communicate distantly. And from then, advantages of blended learning. Garrison and Kanuka sorted all the benefits of blended learning like the transformative potential which offers educational institutions the change to integrate technology with their pedagogy, encourage the educational community to access research and support active and meaningful learning. Next slide is the models of blended learning. Valiatan categorized blended learning into three models in terms of their drive. Firstly, there is the skill-driven learning model, which integrates self-directed learning with teacher support to improve his knowledge and skills in a certain topic. Secondly, there is attitude-driven learning model, which blends various activities and deliver media to develop certain behaviors. Thirdly, there is the competency-driven learning model, which blends action support tools with knowledge research to develop classroom competencies. Self-history defines a number of dimensions where customization can happen, such as blending offline and online learning, blending self-paced and live collaborative learning, blended structured and unstructured learning, and blending different combinations of both. And then, challenges and difficulties faced by blended learning. Adopting blended learning strategy by educators shows some difficulties and challenges which might have some consequence on the quality of the learning process and may hinder its expansion and application in various learning settings. Graham et al. Focus on the challenges that encounter blending learning strategy. Of these challenges appear the role of live collaboration, the role of learner selection, and self-organization. The need for models for sustenance and training, the need to create balance between novelty and production, the need for cultural adaptation, and the skill to handle the digital world. And also Milheim asserted that the use of blended learning strategy is encountering a number of challenges, such as the resultant pressure that teachers have faced by responding to student inquiries and containing many of them continuously, in addition to difficulties related to the student low skills in terms of dealing with the given technologies. The next slide is the next is the concept of achievement. Achievement grows as a crucial element in today's education, particularly with the implied responsibility for classroom teachers. The ultimate goal of any teachers is to improve the learner competencies level and prepare them for real life. So defining student achievement and the factors that influences their progress is critical to becoming a successful teachers. So Hamdan defines academic achievement as mastering a number of skills and obtaining the needed knowledge offered by the educational experiences in a certain academic subject or group of subjects. And then the concept of attitude towards blended learning from Dietmar argues that attitude is a cognitive component which refers to an individual's belief structure. And the next is study related to the effect of blended learning on student achievement and their attitudes. Simpson and Anderson investigated the effect of teaching and blended learning to the level of knowledge and motivation among the students of the non-degree in science in Germany. And from several studies were conducted to examine the effectiveness of the blended learning on student achievement and their attitude towards blended learning in a various subjects. And next, studies related to using blended learning in teaching English. English language teaching has adopted blended learning to create a learner-centered class. Several studies were conducted in this respect. From Ajeng and Kesley compared a teacher training program designed for a service English teacher with a face-to-face program in English language teaching. The research involved 39 in the service English language teachers, with 12 studying in a blended course and 27 in a traditional classroom. The study followed a quasi-experimental study with a non-equivalent group design. The research using teaching knowledge tests, final course grades, and a feedback questionnaire. Results indicate that there was no difference in content knowledge acquisition between teachers and receiving blended instruction and teachers receiving face-to-face instruction. And then, challenges and difficulties faced by blended learning. Adopting blended learning strategy by educators shows some difficulties and challenges which might have some consequence on the quality of the learning process and may hinder its expansion and application in various learning settings. Graham et al. Focus on the challenges that encounter blended learning strategy. Of these challenges appear the role of live collaboration, the role of learner selection, and self-organization. The need for models for sustenance and training, the need to create balance between the digital world. So the next slide, I would like to explain about the methods. So this chapter presents the research methodology adopted in the study and gives information about the population. The sample and this instrument it also describes the validity and reliability of the instrument. Finally, it accounts for data collection procedures and give information about the research design and statistical analysis. So, in the methodology, in this study, quasi-experimental method was used in collecting and analyzing data. And the population of this study includes the 6th grade students from 2 schools in Yemen. The study sample consisted of 15 female students selected from 2 schools in Yemen, namely Al-Rai School and Al-Sabaleh School. The sample was selected purposefully because of its relevance of the research regarding the procedure used. The study sample was distributed to an experimental group that include 25 students and a control group that include 25 students from the 6th class. And you can see from this table that I put on the presentation. And then instrument of the study. 3 instruments were used in the study. For the first, the educational program. The program consisted of some topics from English grade 6 books. It consisted of 2 units from the textbooks Action Pack 6. Of the 6th grade, the material was prepared as follows. 2 units were chosen for the material from the textbooks, Units 11, Has Anybody Got Any Question? And Units 14, I Have Never Swum in the Sea. And B, the rules of the present perfect and simple past tense were chosen and analyzed into concept. And C, from the concept, general and specific goals were derived focusing on the student acquisition of the vowel skill. And D, the concept of present perfect and simple past tense were developed by using computer and data show. And the next is procedure of applying blended learning method. The student of control group were 25 students were in the traditional classroom setting, which is a face-to-face session. The students were scheduled to meet with their teacher 3 times a week. Instructional material used in traditional method were the textbook, a normal whiteboard, and marker. The student experimental group were 25. The student was scheduled to meet with their teacher 3 times a week. And they were instructed through a blended learning approach in which they have to meet to face the instructor and were taught orally and visually, interacting with the instructor over the content material presented by instructor. Instructional materials used in blended learning were PowerPoint slide, flashcard, computer, data show, and research as a part of daily classroom instruction. The students were engaged in online activities and had a change of demonstrated their knowledge. And the next is achievement test. A test is prepared to measure the student achievement in English language throughout the vowel skills according to Bloom's taxonomy: knowledge, understanding, comprehension, application, analyzing, synthesis, and evaluation. The achievement test included 20 questions. Each correct answer was given 1 mark, with a total of 20 marks to the whole test. The test passed through a set of tests. For the first, content analysis of the English language subject, the 6th grade for the school year 2014 until 2015 in the school. Preparing the achievement test that include the element of the basic cognitive content distributed according to Bloom's 6 level: knowledge, understanding, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. The test items were formulated reaching 20 items of multiple choice question. The student achievement was determined by the following: 0 to 9 is weak, 10 to 15 is average, and 16 to 20 is excellent. And the next is attitude questionnaire. In light of the study question, an instrument was prepared to measure the attitude of 6th grade students towards blended learning, and the instrument was built according to the review of the related studies on the attitude towards the blended learning. It considered of 30 times. The student had to choose according to Likert scale each statement in the questionnaire. The Likert scale was used in measuring and the student attitude by ticking the box and the field. And you can see from the table that I put in the presentation. And explain attitude toward English were considered as follow. If the student attitude percentage between 71% until 100, this means that they have positive attitude. If the student attitude percentage is between 51% until 70%, this means that they are average. And if the student attitude percentage is less than 50%, this means that the student attitude are negative. And the next is about the validity of the instrument. The achievement test, teaching materials, and attitude questionnaire were introduced to 5 university professors and educational supervisor. Modifications were made according to the advice member of the jury attached in. And next is reliability of the instrument. The researchers used pre-post test method where the test on sample of 20 students from outside the sample of the study, and 2 weeks after the test was given to the same sample in order to calculate the reliability coefficient. The research used TR20 to calculate the consistency of achievement test where totally reliability coefficient 0.85 was considered suitable for the purpose of the study. Next is about research design. The study contains the following variables. For the first, independent variables, blended learning strategy, and then traditional teaching method. Independent variables, student achievement and attitude towards blended learning method. And then last, I would like to explain about the finding of the study. This chapter presents analysis of the finding of data in order to answer the following two questions. What is the effect of using blended learning on the achievement of 6th grade students in private primary school of Yemen? And the second, what is the effect of using blended learning on the attitude of 6th grade students in teaching English? So, as you can see the table on the presentation, it is noticed from table 4 that the mean of the experimental group that was taught by using the blended learning the past test was higher than the mean of the pre-test. Since it's reached, while the mean for the control group was taught by the traditional method reached to determine if there was any significant differences between the means of the study two groups at level. In the achievement test, the research applied the covariance analysis. See on the table in the presentation. And next, as you can see on the table in this presentation, it is noticed from the table that means of the experimental group that was taught by using the blended learning was higher, since it reached 4.33, while the mean for the control group that was taught by the traditional method reached 3.227. Taught by the traditional method reached 3.24 to determine whether the differences between the means of the two studies group is with statistical. I think that's all about my presentation. Thank you very much for attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.